There are prisons built of stone and steel, prisons with bars and chains and walls that separate the condemned from the world beyond. Then there are prisons of circumstance, of duty, of necessity. But in the grim darkness of the far future, there exists a prison that transcends all others in its cruelty, a confinement so absolute that death itself would be a mercy. This is the story of such a prison, and of the warrior who found himself trapped within it, stripped of the very thing that defined his existence. This is the story of a White Scar's Dreadnought, and what happens when freedom dies twice. To understand the depth of this horror, you must first understand what it means to be a White Scar. These are not ordinary Space Marines, though no Space Marine is truly ordinary. The White Scars are the sons of Jaghatai Khan, the Warhawk, the great Khan of Chogoris. They are warriors of the open steppe, riders of the wind, hunters who find joy in the chase and glory in the speed of battle. Where other chapters stand firm like fortresses, the White Scars flow like water. Where others advance in lockstep formation, the White Scars scatter and reform like a flock of hunting birds. They are the lightning strike, the sudden storm, the blade that appears from nowhere and disappears just as quickly. But more than their tactics, more than their prowess with bikes and assault vehicles, more than their mastery of hit-and-run warfare, the White Scars are defined by a single concept that burns in the heart of every warrior who bears their colors. Freedom. Not the political freedom of democracy or republic, not the freedom from duty or obligation, but something deeper, more primal. The freedom of the endless plains beneath an open sky. The freedom of the hunt, of the chase, of movement unrestricted and unconfined. The freedom to feel the wind against your face, to sense the thunder of your bike's engine resonating through your bones, to ride alongside your brothers across battlefields that stretch to the horizon. This is not merely preference or tactical doctrine. It is woven into the very soul of the chapter, inherited from the culture of Chogoris itself. The tribes of that world are nomadic, moving with the seasons across grasslands that seem to have no end. They live on horseback, and it is said that a Chogorian learns to ride before he learns to walk. When the Emperor's forces found Jaghatai Khan, he was not a settled lord in a fortress, but a Khan of the open steppe, a leader whose domain was measured not in walls and buildings, but in the loyalty of tribes that roamed free. When he took command of the 5th Legion, he reshaped them utterly, instilling in them this philosophy of motion and freedom. The White Scars practice ritual scarring, marking their faces with cuts that heal into white lines against their skin. These scars are deeply personal, each one telling a story, marking an achievement, commemorating a brother or a battle. But they serve another purpose too. They are reminders of mortality, of the flesh and blood reality of their existence. Unlike some chapters that distance themselves from their humanity, seeing themselves as something beyond mortal concerns, the White Scars embrace their physical nature. They write poetry and practice calligraphy. They race their bikes and compete in trials of skill. They laugh and joke and find genuine joy in existence. They are warriors, yes, but they are also alive in a way that many Space Marines are not. This makes what comes next all the more terrible. Among all the Space Marine chapters, few have a relationship with Dreadnoughts as complex and troubled as the White Scars. Where other chapters see Dreadnought interment as the highest honor, a chance for their greatest heroes to continue serving the Emperor for centuries beyond their natural lifespan, the White Scars see something else entirely. They see a cage. They see a warrior stripped of everything that makes life worth living, consciousness preserved, but experience denied. To be entombed in a Dreadnought is to be cut off from sensation, from movement, from the physical world. You cannot feel the wind, you cannot ride. You cannot race across open ground with your brothers, cannot feel the vibration of an engine or the kick of a bolter in your hands. You are trapped inside metal and ceramite. Your body reduced to ruined flesh, kept barely alive by life support systems. Your world filtered through sensors and optics that can never replace true sight. For a white scar, this is a fate worse than death. Much worse. Death is natural. Death is honorable. Death is the end of service and the beginning of rest. But Dreadnought entombment is a half-life, an existence that mocks everything they believe in. It is the antithesis of freedom. The white scars have a phrase in their native Chagorian tongue. They call their dreadnoughts the Uhan Solban, the guardians of the morning and evening stars. It sounds poetic, even beautiful, but it hides a darker truth. These warriors are set to guard the gene seed vaults, to stand eternal watch over the chapter's most precious resource. They serve, yes, but they serve in stillness, in confinement, separated from their brothers and from the life they once knew. The chapter maintains very few dreadnoughts compared to other first founding chapters. This is not because their warriors are less skilled or less prone to catastrophic injury. It is because, whenever possible, they choose to let the dying rest. If a warrior can be saved and returned to full function, they will move heaven and earth to do so. But if the choice is between death with honor or life in a cage, many white scars choose death. Their brothers understand this. Their apothecaries and chaplains understand this. And so the number of dreadnoughts in the chapter remains small, limited to those few warriors who either had no choice in the matter or who made the agonizing decision to continue serving despite the cost. Now imagine being one of those warriors. Imagine the battle that brought you to this point. Perhaps it was a glorious charge, your bike screaming across enemy lines, your chainsword singing as it carved through foes. Perhaps you led your brothers in a lightning strike that shattered an enemy formation, only to be caught by some terrible weapon you never saw coming. An Ork war boss's power claw, a Chaos Marine's plasma gun, a Tyrannid bioweapon. The specifics matter less than the result. You are broken. Your body is ruined beyond what even Space Marine physiology can repair. Your spine is shattered, your organs pulped, your limbs severed or crushed. By all rights, you should be dead, but you are not dead. The apothecaries reach you in time. They stabilize you barely. The decision is made, perhaps by the chapter master, perhaps by you in a moment of lucidity before the pain becomes too much to bear. You will be saved, you will be interred, you will continue to serve. You try to protest, try to explain that you would rather die free than live imprisoned, but the words will not come, or perhaps they do come, and they are ignored, deemed the ravings of pain and shock rather than your true will. Or perhaps you yourself make the choice, understanding that the chapter needs every experienced warrior it can preserve. Understanding that your knowledge and skill are too valuable to let slip away. And so you are taken. You are brought to the forge, to the sanctum of the Tech Marines. You are laid out on cold metal tables, and they begin the work. They remove what remains of your ruined body, cutting away everything that cannot be saved. Limbs are severed. Organs that can no longer function are excised. You are reduced to your essential components. Your brain, enough of your spine to maintain neural function, a few vital organs kept functioning through artificial means. What remains is placed into the sarcophagus, the armored womb that will be your home for the rest of your existence. Neural interfaces are threaded into your brain, connecting you to the machine that will become your body. Life support systems begin their work, feeding you nutrients, filtering your blood, keeping the small remnant of flesh that is still you alive. Then comes the moment of first awakening. The sarcophagus is sealed and installed in the heart of a dreadnought chassis. Power flows, systems activate, and you open your eyes, except they are not your eyes anymore. They are optical sensors, cold and mechanical, feeding you visual data but not sight as you once knew it. You try to move and find that your body responds, but it is not your body. It is tons of ceramite and adamantium, servos and hydraulics and weapon systems. You are no longer a man in armor. You are the armor, and the man you were is buried somewhere deep inside. The weight of it settles on you slowly. You cannot feel, not really. The sensors provide information, temperature readings and pressure data and motion tracking, but it is not the same as feeling. You cannot feel the wind. You will never again experience the simple pleasure of air moving across your skin. You cannot feel the vibration of an engine beneath you, cannot feel the kick of a weapon in your hands, cannot feel the warmth of sunlight or the cold of night. All of this is gone, replaced by mechanical approximations that satisfy the mind but never the soul, and you cannot move freely. Yes, the Dreadnought is mobile, its legs carrying you forward with surprising agility for something so large. But it is not the same as running, as riding, as racing across open ground. You are slow now, ponderous, your movements measured in careful steps rather than fluid motion. The bikes you once rode are forever beyond your reach. The speed you once knew is gone. You will never again feel that rush of acceleration, that moment when the world blurs around you and time itself seems to slow, when you and your machine become one thing, moving with perfect unity. Your brothers try to help. They speak to you through Vox channels, their voices filtered through speakers, but still recognizable. They tell you that you are honored, that you are valued, that your sacrifice means everything to the chapter. They mean well. They genuinely believe what they say. But you know the truth that they cannot understand, not unless they too are entombed. This is not honor. This is imprisonment. You have been given eternal life and robbed of every reason to want it. But you endure because you are a white scar, and white scars endure. You learn to function within your new limitations. You train with your weapon systems, learning to target and fire with the precision that your enhanced sensors make possible. You practice moving, taking the careful steps that will let you navigate through terrain that would have been trivial before. You interact with your brothers, speaking through the vocoder that gives you a voice, cold and mechanical, but still yours. You attend briefings and ceremonies, stand watch over the gene seed vaults, as the Uhan Solban are meant to do. You exist, you function, you serve. And between battles, between the brief moments when you are activated and allowed to participate in the chapter's wars, you sleep. Not the natural sleep of the living, but a deep stasis that shuts down all non-essential systems and lets your consciousness slip away into darkness. In some ways, this is the greatest mercy. While you sleep, you do not think. You do not remember. You do not feel the weight of your confinement pressing down on you like a physical force. You simply cease to be, and when you wake, time has passed, months or years compressed into what feels like a single instant. This is the existence of a white scar's dreadnought. This is the reality of a warrior who valued freedom above all else, now imprisoned in metal and denied every experience that made life worth living. It is horrible. It is tragic. It is a torture that never ends, a punishment for the crime of surviving when you should have died. And yet, it can get worse, so much worse, because in the grim darkness of the far future, there are fates that can take even this terrible existence and transform it into something infinitely more horrible. There are enemies who will capture you, who will take your prison and make it into something even more nightmarish. And among all the enemies humanity faces, among all the xenospecies and chaos forces that threaten the Imperium, few are as likely to inflict this particular horror as the Orks. Let us speak now of the Orks, the green tide that sweeps across the galaxy in an endless wave of violence and destruction. To call them simple would be a grave mistake, one that has cost countless Imperial forces dearly. Yes, they are brutal. Yes, they are savage. Yes, they live for battle and warfare and the pure joy of fighting. But they are not mindless. They possess a cunning that belies their crude appearance, a dark intelligence that makes them far more dangerous than many would like to admit. The Orks are the remnants of an ancient race, engineered by beings called the Old Ones during a war so ancient that it predates human civilization by millions of years. They were created as weapons, biological soldiers designed to fight in a conflict that would determine the fate of the galaxy itself. The Old Ones encoded knowledge directly into Orkoid genetics, giving them instinctive understanding of technology and warfare. This is why Ork mech boys can build complex machines without formal training, why pain boys understand surgery despite no medical education, why even the most basic Ork knows how to assemble and fire a weapon. It is literally in their blood, their genetic memory giving them access to knowledge they should not possess. But this genetic engineering came with certain traits that define Ork culture. They were built to fight, and fighting is what gives them joy. An Ork in battle is an Ork at his happiest, his most fulfilled. They laugh when they kill. They roar with delight when they charge into combat. They compete with each other for the best fights, the most dangerous enemies, the biggest explosions. Pain means little to them, their robust physiology letting them shrug off wounds that would kill a human. Death in battle is not feared, but accepted as part of the natural order. After all, if you die fighting, you can't fight anymore. But it was a good scrap while it lasted. This mentality extends to how they treat their enemies. Orks do not hate those they fight, at least not in the way humans understand hatred. They see battle as a kind of game, violent and deadly, but still fundamentally about having a good time. A worthy opponent is respected, even praised, because they provide a better fight. An enemy who runs or surrenders is despised because they ruin the fun. This is why Orks will sometimes bypass populations that do not resist them. There is no sport in killing those who will not fight back. Where is the fun in that? But this does not mean they are merciful. Far from it. Orks are brutal beyond measure, and they see nothing wrong with cruelty because they themselves feel no pain. They do not understand why lesser beings scream and beg, why they fear death or injury. To an Ork, these reactions are strange and somewhat amusing, like watching a grot panic over nothing. This disconnect between Ork psychology and human psychology leads to situations of terrible horror, where Orks inflict suffering not out of malice, but out of genuine curiosity about why others react the way they do. They also enslave. Despite what some Imperial propaganda would suggest, Orks do not simply kill everyone they encounter. They capture humans and other species, putting them to work in their settlements and war camps. These slaves perform the tasks that Orks find too boring or beneath them. They mine ore, they work forges, they construct buildings, they maintain equipment. The conditions are horrific. Orks do not care about concepts like adequate food or rest or safety. Slaves work until they drop, and when they drop, the Orks find more. Death among slave populations is constant, but the Orks always seem to have more to replace them. Among the Orks, certain specialists hold positions of particular importance. The mech boys are the engineers and inventors, their genetic memory giving them an intuitive understanding of mechanical principles. They build the guns, the vehicles, the crude but effective war machines that Orks use in battle. Their workshops are chaotic places filled with spare parts and half-finished projects, where explosions are common and considered part of the creative process. Mech boys are always looking for new things to tinker with, new problems to solve in the most violent way possible. Give a mech boy a captured Imperial tank, and he will take it apart to see how it works. Then put it back together with Ork modifications that somehow make it more dangerous, despite looking like it should not function at all. Then there are the pain boys, the Ork equivalent of doctors and surgeons. This comparison does them a disservice, because calling a pain boy a doctor is like calling a butcher a chef. Technically accurate, but missing crucial context. Pain boys understand Orkoid biology in the same instinctive way that mech boys understand mechanics. They can perform surgery, attach bionic limbs, even transplant heads from one body to another, and the patient will usually survive. But they also experiment, constantly and enthusiastically. They are fascinated by how bodies work, how they break, how they can be modified and changed. Painboys view their work as both science and entertainment. They love nothing more than conducting experiments, trying out new procedures just to see what happens. Need an extra arm? The Painboy can attach one, though it might be from a different orc, or possibly not from an orc at all. Suffering from a head wound? The Painboy can fix it, or he might decide that your head would look better on a different body and perform the transfer right there. Losing a fight? The Painboy can make you stronger with bionic enhancements, though the surgery will be performed without anesthetic, because orcs do not understand the concept and would not use it even if they did. Most terrifying is how Painboys treat non-orc subjects. They are endlessly curious about alien anatomy, eager to understand how other species work. This leads them to actively seek out captives, specifically for experimentation. A Painboy who captures a human will be delighted, immediately beginning to take them apart to see what makes them tick. They perform vivisections without pain relief, not out of cruelty, but because it genuinely does not occur to them that this might be a problem. The screaming is just noise, maybe even music to their ears. Some victims are transformed into cybernetic horrors, their bodies modified with crude bionic limbs and organs, turned into living experiments that showcase the Painboy's skill. This is the culture, the mindset, the fundamental nature of the Orks. Now imagine what happens when they capture a Dreadnought. The battle that leads to this capture is chaos incarnate. The Orks have launched a War, one of their massive invasions that sweeps across multiple systems like a green avalanche. The White Scars respond, doing what they do best, launching lightning strikes against Orc positions, disrupting their supply lines, eliminating key targets. It is the kind of warfare the chapter excels at, mobile and aggressive, and always keeping the enemy off balance. The Dreadnought is deployed to support a critical assault on an Orc stronghold. This is not his preferred role. He would rather be sleeping in the gene vault, lost in stasis where he does not have to confront the reality of his existence. But the chapter needs him. The Orcs have fortified their position heavily, and the assault force requires his firepower to breach their defenses. So he goes, loaded into a drop pod, and launched from orbit, screaming down through the atmosphere to impact in the midst of the enemy. The battle is everything an Orc could want. Brutal, loud, chaotic, with explosions and gunfire and close combat. The Dreadnought fights as he was built to fight, his assault cannon tearing through Orc ranks, his power fist crushing vehicles and walkers. Around him, his brothers on their bikes weave through enemy formations, striking and withdrawing, never staying still long enough to be pinned down. It is beautiful in its way, a perfect execution of White Scar's doctrine, and then everything goes wrong. Perhaps it is bad luck. Perhaps it is a clever trap by an unusually cunning war boss. Perhaps it is simply the chaos of battle, where plans fall apart and anything can happen. The Dreadnought finds himself cut off, separated from his brothers by an Orc charge that breaks through their lines. His Vox is damaged, his communications cutting in and out. He fights on, but he is alone now, surrounded by an ocean of green skin and crude weapons. Orcs swarm over him like insects. Their weapons pound his armor, chipping paint, scoring ceramite, finding weak points. He kills dozens, hundreds, each burst of his assault cannon ending multiple lives, each swing of his power fist reducing Orcs to red mist. But there are always more. They do not fear him. They do not retreat. If anything, they seem delighted by the challenge, laughing and roaring as they attack. A lucky hit from a rocket launcher strikes one of his leg joints. The explosion does not penetrate his armor, but it damages the servo system. He stumbles, catches himself, keeps fighting. Another hit, this time from a massive custom mega blaster that a mech is firing with gleeful abandon. The weapon overheats and explodes, taking the mech with it, but not before its blast fuses circuits in the Dreadnought's weapon systems. His assault cannon falls silent, its ammunition feed jammed beyond his ability to clear. He is vulnerable now. The Orks sense it, their primitive cunning telling them that this enemy is weakened. They press their advantage, attacking with renewed fury. A huge knob charges forward, his power claw crackling with energy. The Dreadnought swings his remaining power fist, but the damaged leg servo throws off his balance. The blow connects, but lacks full force, knocking the knob back, but not killing him. The knob recovers and brings his power claw up in a devastating uppercut that catches the Dreadnought under his arm mount. Systems fail. Alarms scream inside the sarcophagus. The Dreadnought staggers, tries to stabilize, fails. He goes down hard, hitting the ground with an impact that would have shattered every bone in a mortal body. More Orks swarm over him, attacking his joints, his armor, anything that looks important. They are not trying to kill him now. They have seen Dreadnoughts before, seen how they work. They know there is something valuable inside, something worth taking. The world goes dark as his optical sensors are covered by Ork bodies. The Dreadnought tries to speak, to call for aid, but his vox is completely dead now. He is blind and deaf and helpless, reduced to feeling the impacts as Orks work to disable him completely. He thinks of his brothers racing across the plains of Chogoris, free and wild and joyful. He thinks of what will happen when the Orks realize what they have captured. He thinks that perhaps, finally, death will come for him. But death does not come. Instead, something worse arrives. When his sensors come back online, he is being dragged. The Orks have attached chains to his chassis and are pulling him across the battlefield, dozens of them working together to move his massive weight. He tries to move, to fight, but his motor functions are completely disabled. Whatever they did while he was dark, they managed to find his control systems and shut them down. He is paralyzed, a prisoner in a prison that was already a prison. Helplessness layered upon helplessness. They take him to their camp, a sprawling mess of crude huts and workshops, of scrap metal walls and smoke-belching forges. Orks gather as he is dragged through their settlement, shouting and pointing, clearly excited about their prize. He understands enough Orkish to catch fragments of their speech. Shiny metal, Humi. Look at the guns on that thing. That's a proper kill, that is. They do not see him as a warrior deserving respect. They see him as a trophy, a piece of interesting salvage, something new to play with. He is dumped in what appears to be a Meek's workshop. The space is chaotic, filled with half-assembled vehicles and piles of spare parts. Crude tools hang from the walls. The floor is stained with oil and other less identifiable fluids. And in the center of it all stands the mech himself, a massive Ork with a mechanical arm and goggles that probably once belonged to an Imperial engineer. The mech circles the Dreadnought, making appreciative noises, poking at armor plates and weapon mounts with a tool that looks like it might be a wrench or possibly a weapon. "This is gonna be fun," the mech says. And even through the vocoder that translates Orkish to something the Dreadnought can understand, he can hear the genuine enthusiasm. "Never got me one of desi before. Let's see what makes you tick." What follows is a nightmare that stretches into days, then weeks. The mech works on the Dreadnought with the enthusiasm of a child with a new toy and the skill of someone who instinctively understands machinery, but has no concept of care or precision. He starts by removing panels, exposing the internal systems. He prods and pokes, identifying power feeds and data conduits, learning how everything connects. The Dreadnought cannot move, cannot protest, can only observe through his sensors as his body is violated. The mech is not trying to destroy him. That would be wasteful. Instead, he wants to understand, to modify, to make improvements according to Ork logic. He starts replacing components, swapping out Imperial technology for Ork equivalents. A power feed becomes a bundle of exposed wires held together with tape and hope. A targeting sensor is removed and replaced with something that looks like it was looted from 3 different sources and welded into a functioning unit. The modifications make no sense, according to Imperial engineering principles, but they work, because the mech believes they will work, and in the bizarre reality-warping field that Orks generate, belief is enough. Each modification is an agony of helplessness. The Dreadnought feels the changes, not as pain exactly, but as a fundamental wrongness. His systems respond differently. His sensors provide information in formats he does not recognize. His reactor cycles in rhythms that feel unnatural, that set his nerves on edge. He tries to speak, to tell the mech to stop, but his Vox is disconnected, lying in pieces on a workbench while the mech debates whether to replace it with something better. And then the Pain Boy arrives. He is smaller than the mech, but somehow more disturbing. His apron stained with substances that could be blood or oil or any number of other fluids. He carries a bag of surgical instruments, crude saws and drills, and other tools that make the Dreadnought's consciousness recoil in horror. The Pain Boy and the mech confer, and then the Pain Boy approaches with obvious interest. "I heard there's a humie inside this thing," the Pain Boy says, running a grimy hand across the sarcophagus. "That true, mech?" "Yeah," the mech replies. "They stick one of their boys in there, all broke up but still kicking. Keeps them alive somehow." "Can we get him out? I want to see how it works." The Dreadnought would scream if he could. The thought of these crude hands opening his sarcophagus, exposing what little remains of his body, is more terrifying than any enemy he has ever faced. At least in battle, death comes quickly. This would be torture, examination, experimentation. They would take him apart like a puzzle, not caring that each piece they remove is a part of his living flesh. Fortunately, or perhaps unfortunately, the mech shakes his head. "Nah, if we open that, Dahumi dies. Then the whole thing stops working. We gotta leave him sealed up." The Pain Boy looks disappointed, but accepts this. Instead, he begins examining the sarcophagus itself, the life support systems, the neural connections. He seems particularly fascinated by the latter, tracing the cables that connect the Dreadnought's brain to his mechanical body. "Could we add more?" he muses aloud. "Give him extra arms or some fine." They experiment. The Pain Boy and the mech work together, two specialists collaborating on a project that neither fully understands, but both find endlessly entertaining. They run new connections, adding crude sensors that feed information directly into the Dreadnought's neural link. The data is overwhelming, meaningless noise that floods his consciousness like static. They attach external speakers and force audio through his systems, blasting Ork war cries and engine roars at volumes that would deafen a mortal. They paint his armor in Ork colors, garish greens and reds and yellows that mock the white and red he once wore with pride. Throughout all of this, the Dreadnought is aware. He cannot move. He cannot speak. He can only experience what they do to him, helpless and horrified. The modifications they make are not meant to be cruel. The Orks genuinely believe they are improving him, making him better, more Orky. But for the Dreadnought, each change is a desecration, a violation of everything he was. The worst part is the loss of identity. His armor was a symbol, a proud display of white scars, colors, and heraldry. It connected him to his chapter, to his brothers, to everything he had been before entombment. Now that armor is being covered in Ork. Graffiti, his chapter symbols painted over with crude glyphs that spell out Ork words he does not want to understand. They are erasing him, not deliberately, but through casual disregard for what his appearance meant. To them, he is just a machine, and machines can be painted any color. Days pass, marked only by changes in light filtering through the workshop's grimy windows. The Orks come and go, sometimes working on him, sometimes working on other projects. He hears fragments of their conversations, learns that his brothers launched a counterattack to try to rescue him, that they were driven off with heavy casualties. The Orks laugh about it, impressed by how hard the Wheelie Boys fought. They do not understand why the White Scars wanted this particular wreck back. It is just another piece of salvage to them, admittedly an interesting piece, but still just a thing. The Dreadnought has too much time to think. Trapped in his modified shell, unable to move or communicate, he can do nothing but remember. He remembers Chagoris, the endless plains of his homeworld. He remembers his first hunt, riding alongside his brothers under a sky so vast it seemed to hold all of infinity. He remembers the wind in his hair, the thunder of hooves, the joy of moving fast and free across ground that stretched to the horizon. He remembers his bike, his first bike after becoming a full battle brother. It was beautiful in its simplicity, all speed and power, and responsive to his slightest touch. He remembers the first time he pushed it to full throttle, the world blurring around him, that perfect moment when he and the machine moved as one. He remembers races with his brothers, friendly competitions that always ended in laughter regardless of who won. He remembers combat from the saddle, weaving through enemy fire, striking and withdrawing before the foe could react, the pure exhilaration of doing what he was born to do. He remembers the ritual scarring, the day he took the blade and carved the mark into his own face, felt the blood run hot down his cheek, pressed ash into the wound to raise the white scar that gave the chapter its name. The pain was nothing, the meaning was everything. He was claiming his place among his brothers, marking himself as one of the horde, bound by honor and brotherhood to those who bore the same scars. He remembers poetry. The White Scars value the arts, contrary to what outsiders might think. They write and recite, finding beauty in words as well as in warfare. He remembers sitting around fires during rare, quiet moments, listening to veterans speak of battles long past, their words painting pictures more vivid than any recording. He remembers trying his hand at it himself, crude verses at first, but growing better with practice. There was one poem about the open sky, about freedom and brotherhood and the joy of the hunt. He cannot remember all the words now. Time and trauma have stolen them from him. But he remembers the feeling it captured, the essence of what it meant to be a White Scar. All of that is gone now, stolen twice over. First by the Dreadnought, when his body was broken and his life was saved by entombment. Then by the Orks, when they captured him and turned his prison into something even worse. He is so far removed from what he once was that it seems impossible they were ever the same being. That warrior riding free across the plains, that poet by the fireside, that brother who laughed with his companions might as well be someone else entirely. A character in a story that he heard once but cannot quite remember clearly. The Orks decide that he should be made functional again. After all, what good is a weapon you cannot use? The mech begins working to restore his motor functions, bypassing damaged systems with Ork replacements. It takes weeks of tinkering, of trial and error, of modifications that make no sense but somehow work anyway. Finally, the Dreadnought feels movement returning. His limbs respond. His legs can bear weight again. The mech crows with triumph, dancing around the workshop in celebration of his success. They test him in a crude arena, forcing him to walk, to turn, to demonstrate that he is functional. A crowd of Orks gathers to watch, cheering and making bets on whether he will fall over. The Dreadnought moves slowly, carefully, still learning how to work with the modifications they have made. Everything feels wrong. The balance is different. The feedback from his sensors comes in formats he does not recognize. The servo response is either too slow or too fast, never quite matching what he expects. He is piloting a body that is no longer his own, wearing a skin that belongs to someone else. They give him new weapons. His original assault cannon was too damaged to repair, so the mech replaces it with a shooter, a massive Ork gun that fires with a distinctive sound that makes the Dreadnought's soul cry out in protest. His power fist is modified, fitted with a custom force field that crackles with green energy. It works after a fashion, but it feels like a violation. Ork technology grafted onto his form like a parasite, and then they make him fight. The Orks take him to battle, dragging him along with their wah like a trophy or a slave. They point him at enemies and order him to kill. Sometimes these enemies are Imperial forces, his own brothers or soldiers of the Astra Militarum. Sometimes they are other Xenos species, Tyranids, or Tau, or Eldar. The Orks do not care who he fights as long as he fights. They have made him their weapon, their possession, their thing. Each battle is a fresh horror. The Dreadnought fights because he has no choice. His motor functions are controlled by a crude device the mech installed, something that overrides his own will when activated. He is aware during these fights. He sees what he does. He feels the impacts as his weapons strike down enemies who should be his allies. He watches as Imperial soldiers scatter before him, not recognizing what he has become, seeing only an Ork war machine bearing down on them. Sometimes he faces white scars, his brothers. They come racing across the battlefield on their bikes, white armor gleaming, their war cries echoing across the combat zone. They are so beautiful, so free, so alive, and he is made to fight them. His weapons track them. The targeting systems the Orks installed calculating firing solutions with cold efficiency. He tries to resist, to stop himself, but the override kicks in and his body obeys despite his screaming consciousness. He kills some of them. Not many. The white scars are too skilled, too fast. They weave and dodge and most of his shots miss, but some connect. He sees bikes explode. He sees warriors fall. He hears their death cries over Vox channels that the Orks never bothered to disable. Hears his brothers dying by his own hand. The Orks cheer each kill, celebrating what they see as proof of their skill in making him work. They do not see the screaming in his soul, do not understand that every shot is an agony beyond any physical pain. After one such battle, a White Scars force closes in on his position. They break through the Ork lines in a brilliant charge, bikes scattering the greenskins like chaff before wind. They are coming for him. He realizes this with a surge of hope that is almost painful in its intensity. They know. They recognize what he has become. They are here to rescue him, or if rescue is impossible, to grant him the mercy of final death. The Pain Boy realizes what is happening and makes a decision. He activates a device, something cruel and clever, that floods the Dreadnought systems with electrical current. It is agony, consciousness seared by raw power, every nerve ending in his ruined body lighting up with pain that should be impossible. The White Scars see their ancient brother thrashing, apparently going berserk, his weapons firing wildly in all directions. They cannot know that this is not his doing, that he is being tortured, that he would stop if he could. They make the only decision they can. A melter-gun shot strikes his chassis, burning through armor, seeking the power core. The Dreadnought feels it, feels the heat, feels his systems beginning to fail. This is it. Finally, after everything, death is coming. He tries to feel relief, tries to embrace the end. But then Ork mechs are there, crude repair equipment in hand, patching the damage, stabilizing his reactor. They save him, not out of mercy, but because he is valuable, because he works, because they are not done with him yet. The White Scars are driven back. His brothers withdraw. Their rescue attempt failed. The Dreadnought remains in Ork hands, his hope dead, his spirit broken. They patch him up and return him to the workshop, and the cycle begins again. Modifications, repairs, being paraded around as proof of Ork superiority, being forced to fight, being forced to exist in this mockery of life. Time loses meaning. Weeks become months. Months might become years, he cannot tell. The Orks do not keep track of such things, and his internal chronometer was disabled or destroyed long ago. He knows only a sequence of moments, none of them good. He is their thing, their property, their curiosity. They tinker with him when they are bored. They make him fight when they need a weapon. They ignore him when other entertainment presents itself. Other prisoners come and go through the camp. Humans, mostly, captured soldiers and civilians pressed into slavery. The Dreadnought sees them sometimes, when the Orks drag him past the slave pens. The humans see him and do not understand what they are looking at. They see the Ork modifications, the crude paint, the alien weapons. They see an enemy, a threat, a monster. They do not see the space marine trapped inside, the brother who would help them if he could. One prisoner is different, a young soldier, an Imperial guardsman with white scars colors tattooed on his arms, a sign that he comes from one of the worlds the chapter recruits from. The soldier sees the Dreadnought and his eyes go wide. He recognizes something, some detail the Orks missed in their modifications. Perhaps it is the shape of the sarcophagus, or a fragment of heraldry not quite painted over, or something else. But he knows. The soldier approaches the Dreadnought despite the danger, despite the Orks who might notice and punish him for it. He places a hand on the battered armor and speaks, his voice shaking but determined. "I see you, Ancient One. The Kargan sees you. Your brothers see you. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. Your scars remain, even if we cannot see them." It is the smallest gesture, meaningless in practical terms. But it breaks something in the Dreadnought's consciousness. He has been seen, not as an Ork weapon, not as a piece of salvage, but as what he is. A white scar, a brother, a warrior who still exists, despite everything that has been done to him. Tears would come if he still had eyes to weep. A scream would tear from his throat if he still had a throat. Instead, he can only feel, can only experience the weight of this recognition, this reminder that he was once more than what he has become. The soldier is dragged away by Ork guards before he can say more. The Dreadnought never sees him again. He does not know if the boy lives or dies, if he escapes or succumbs to the brutality of Ork captivity. But the words remain, echoing in the Dreadnought's mind like a prayer, like a promise. Your scars remain. The mech decides to try something new. He has heard stories of Ork Dreadnoughts, of how some Orks are placed in mechanical bodies when they are too damaged to fight normally. These Ork Dreadnoughts, called Death Dreads or Killer Cans depending on their size, are piloted consciously, the Ork inside fully in control. The mech wonders if he can do something similar with his captured Dreadnought. Can he remove the override, give the Yesir, pilot inside full control, and convince or force him to fight willingly? He tries. The override device is disconnected. The control systems are returned to the Dreadnought's neural link. Movement comes back under his own power, his own will. For the first time in months, he can move according to his own desires, rather than being puppeted by Ork technology. The mech is pleased with himself, thinking he has made an improvement. He explains to the Dreadnought what he expects, that he should fight for the Wa, that he is part of the Ork war machine now, that he should embrace this new purpose. The mech genuinely believes he is being generous, offering the Dreadnought a chance to be something more than a controlled weapon. The Dreadnought considers his options. He has mobility again. He has control of his weapons. He could fight, could try to kill every Ork in the camp, could rage against his captors, even though such action would certainly end in his destruction. Or he could refuse, could shut down his own systems, could simply stop, willingly entering stasis from which he would not wake without outside intervention. He thinks of the soldier's words. Your scars remain. He thinks of his brothers, still fighting, still free, still carrying on the work of the chapter. He thinks of Chogoris and the endless plains, of wind and speed and joy. He thinks of poetry and brotherhood, of everything that made life worth living before this nightmare began. And he makes his choice. He goes still. His systems remain active, but he does not move, does not respond to commands or threats or anything else the Orks try. He has found the one freedom left to him, the freedom to refuse, to not cooperate, to deny his captors even this small victory. The mech is furious, then confused, then finally dismissive. If the Humi inside will not fight, then he is useless. Better to have him as a controlled puppet than a stubborn prisoner. The override is reinstalled. The control returns to Ork hands. The Dreadnought is once again reduced to passenger in his own body, but this time it is different. This time he made a choice. This time he resisted. It is the smallest victory, meaningless in practical terms, but it is his. The war moves on. The Orks take their war to new systems, new battlefields, and they bring their captured Dreadnought with them. He becomes a fixture in their warband, a strange hybrid of Imperial and Ork technology that the other Orks regard with a mixture of pride and confusion. Some think he brings good luck. Others do not trust the presence of a Hume machine in their midst, even one they control. But the war boss keeps him, finding him useful, and so the Dreadnought remains. His brothers never stop trying to recover him. Intelligence reports track the Ork warg's movements, and whenever possible, White Scar's forces attempt to reach the Dreadnought's last known position. But the Orks are mobile too, in their crude way, and the timing never works out. By the time White Scar's forces arrive, the Orks have moved on, taking their prize with them. In one attempt, the White Scars nearly succeed. They launch a precision strike on an Ork camp, bikes and land speeders racing through defenses with the skill of master warriors. They locate the Dreadnought, begin the process of extraction. Hope surges. Freedom after so long is within reach. But reinforcements arrive, Ork forces returning from a nearby battle. The numbers are overwhelming. The White Scars hold their ground as long as they can, fighting with the desperate fury of warriors who know what is at stake. But there are too many Orks, too many guns, too much armor. The strike force is forced to withdraw or be wiped out entirely. One of the White Scars breaks formation, a young warrior on a bike decorated with personal heraldry. He races toward the Dreadnought, even as his brothers scream at him to fall back, to retreat, to save himself. He reaches the Dreadnought's position, places a hand on the battered armor. Through external speakers, his voice comes through. "We will come for you, Ancient One. We will not abandon you. On my honor, as a White Scar, as a son of the Khan, I swear this. We will bring you home." Then he is gone, racing back to his brothers, escaping the Ork net by seconds. The Dreadnought watches him go, that white armor disappearing into the distance, and feels something he thought was dead stir in what remains of his heart. They have not forgotten. They will never forget. Even if rescue never comes, even if he spends eternity in Ork hands, his brothers remember what he was and honor what he still is. The campaigns continue. Battles blur together. The Dreadnought is forced to fight, to kill, to be the weapon the Orks want him to be. But something has changed. The soldier's words, the warrior's promise, they have rekindled something that was nearly extinguished. He is not just a prisoner. He is not just a thing. He is still a White Scar, and White Scars do not yield. He begins to resist in small ways. When the Orks make him fight, he aims carefully, missing shots that should hit, giving enemies chances to escape. When they force him to engage Imperial forces, he targets Ork positions instead whenever the override momentarily glitches. The resistance costs him. The mech notices and responds with painful recalibrations, electrical shocks and system purges that scour his consciousness with agony. But he continues. Every small victory, every tiny act of defiance is a way of remaining himself. The war eventually turns against the Orks. Imperial forces, guided by intelligence and led by skilled commanders, begin to push back the Wa. The Orks fight with their usual enthusiasm, but even they cannot prevail against coordinated resistance from multiple Space Marine chapters supported by Astra Militarum regiments. The green tide begins to recede, forced back system by system toward its origin point. The final battle comes on a world whose name the Dreadnought never learns. The Orks make their stand in a massive fortress of scrap metal and crude fortifications. Imperial forces lay siege, bombarding from orbit, assaulting from ground and air. The White Scars are part of the assault force, and when the Dreadnought's sensors detect their presence, something like hope stirs in his consciousness. The battle is chaos. The Orks fight with berserk fury, knowing this might be their last fight, determined to make it a good one. The Dreadnought is deployed with other Ork walkers. commanded to hold a critical junction against Imperial assault. He goes because he must, but his targeting systems are set to minimum efficiency, his movements slower than they should be. He will not kill his brothers if he can avoid it, no matter what punishment follows. White scars. Bikes appear, racing through Ork lines with impossible speed and skill. They are heading directly toward the Dreadnought's position. This is it. This is the moment. The Dreadnought tries to move, to position himself away from friendly fire, to make their job easier. But the override kicks in, forcing him to raise weapons, to track targets, to prepare to fire. He fights the control with every fragment of will he possesses. It is like trying to move a mountain with his mind, like pushing against a wall of solid adamantium. The Ork technology is crude but effective, and it does not care about his resistance. His weapons begin to charge, targeting solutions locked on approaching white scars. In seconds they will be in range and he will fire, and his brothers will die by his hand. And then the mech, overseeing the battle from a command post nearby, makes a mistake. He pushes too much power through the control system, trying to force faster response. Something overloads. The override shorts out, sparks flying from damaged circuits. And suddenly, the Dreadnought is free. The sensation is indescribable. After months of being a passenger, of having his body moved by others, he is in control. His weapons respond to his will. His legs move where he directs them. He is himself again, at least as much as a Dreadnought can be himself. The white scars are seconds away. He could turn his guns on them, follow the last commands he received, or he could do something else. He makes his choice instantly, without hesitation. His weapons rotate, tracking new targets. Orks. Dozens of them, positioned around his location, ready to ambush the approaching white scars. He opens fire. The shooter roars, crude bullets tearing through Ork ranks. His power fist lashes out, crushing a walker that was preparing to charge. He is killing Orks, finally, properly, as he was meant to do. It is the first time in months that he has fought according to his own will, and the relief is almost overwhelming. The white scars see what is happening and adjust their approach. They race past the Dreadnought, trusting him to cover their advance, using his firepower to clear a path. One warrior, likely the strike force leader, stops briefly. His voice comes through on a Vox channel that the Dreadnought still has access to. "Ancient One, can you move? Can you come with us?" The Dreadnought tries to respond, tries to say that yes, he can move, he will follow, just tell him where to go. But his Vox is still disconnected, still lying in pieces somewhere in a mech's workshop. He cannot speak, he can only act. He begins moving, following the white scars, each step taking him closer to freedom. The Orks realize what is happening and respond with fury. They swarm toward the Dreadnought, trying to recapture their prize. The mech is there, screaming orders, waving tools like weapons. Other mechs join him, carrying devices meant to reassert control, to force the Dreadnought back into compliance. The Dreadnought fights them. He has faced terrible enemies in his long service. Chaos Marines and Tyrannid monsters and demons from the warp itself. But few battles have mattered as much as this one. This is not just about survival or victory. This is about freedom, about reclaiming what was stolen, about proving that he is still a warrior and not just a thing to be used. His assault cannon, the shooter the Orks installed, runs dry of ammunition. No matter. His power fist still functions. He uses it, crushing Orks, smashing vehicles, clearing a path. The white scars fight alongside him now, their bikes weaving between enemies, their bolters and blades dealing death with precision. They are covering him, protecting him, giving him the chance to escape. But the Orks are too many. For every one that falls, two more appear. The Dreadnought is taking damage, his already battered armor accumulating new wounds. Alarms sound in his sarcophagus, warning of critical system failures. He will not last much longer. He knows this. His brothers know this. But still they fight, refusing to leave him behind. A war boss appears, massive even by Ork standards, his power claw crackling with energy. he charges the Dreadnought with a roar that shakes the ground. This is the leader of the War, the biggest and meanest of the Orks, and he wants this fight personally. The Dreadnought meets his charge, power fist against power claw, machine against monster. They grapple, locked in a contest of pure strength. The war boss is incredibly strong, his power claw tearing at the Dreadnought's armor, peeling back ceramite like paper. But the Dreadnought is strong too, his power fist designed to crush tanks and walkers. They push and pull, neither gaining advantage, a stalemate of titans. Around them, the battle rages. White Scars and Orks clash in brutal combat. The air fills with the sound of bolter fire and the smell of promethium. Somewhere in the chaos, the Dreadnought hears an engine roar, a land speeder dropping down from above, its crew working to attach a cable to his chassis. They are trying to extract him, to lift him out of this hell. The war boss realizes what is happening and redoubles his efforts. His power claw finds purchase, digging into the Dreadnought's torso, seeking the sarcophagus within. If he can breach it, if he can reach the warrior inside, it is over. The Dreadnought knows this. He has one chance, one moment to act. He releases his grip with his power fist, letting the war boss surge forward, off balance with sudden lack of resistance. Then he brings the fist down in a hammer blow that catches the war boss on top of his head. The impact is tremendous. Power field and hydraulics and tons of metal, all focused on a single point. The war boss's skull crumples, his body goes limp. He falls, dead before he hits the ground. The cable goes taut. The land speeder rises, lifting the Dreadnought off his feet. He is airborne now, being carried away from the battle, away from the Orks, toward freedom. Below him, the White Scars break off their attack, racing for extraction points, their mission accomplished. The Ork camp falls away beneath him. He sees the fortress, the workshops, the slave pens, where he spent so many months in captivity. He sees the mechs standing in their workspace, staring up at him, their prize escaping. He sees the army of Orks, still fighting, still roaring, still being what they are. And he leaves it all behind. The land speeder delivers him to a White Scars transport. Tech Marines are waiting, their tools ready, their faces hidden behind helmets, but their body language showing urgency and concern. They know what has been done to him. They can see the Ork modifications, the crude repairs, the desecration of his form. But they do not waste time on anger or sorrow. They get to work immediately, stabilizing his systems, ensuring he survives the evacuation. His brothers gather around as the transport lifts off, rising toward the fleet in orbit. They remove their helmets, showing their faces, letting him see them. Some are young, warriors he does not recognize. Others are veterans whose features he remembers from before his entombment. They all bear the white scars of the chapter, marks of honor and brotherhood, and they are looking at him not with pity or horror, but with respect. One steps forward, a captain judging by his armor and heraldry. He places a hand on the Dreadnought's chassis, on a spot where the Ork paint has been scraped away to reveal a fragment of original white. When he speaks, his voice is firm and clear, carrying the weight of an oath. Welcome home, Ancient One. You have endured what no warrior should endure. You have suffered what would break lesser men, but you did not break. You remained one of us, a white scar, a son of the Khan. Your brothers see you. Your chapter honors you. Your scars remain, visible and invisible, and they mark you as one of the bravest among us. Welcome home. The words wash over the Dreadnought's consciousness like a benediction. After so long being treated as a thing, as salvage, as a weapon to be used, he is being recognized as a person again, as a warrior, as a brother. He wishes he could respond, could tell them what their presence means, could express the gratitude and relief and pure joy that fills what remains of his soul. But he cannot speak. His vox is still broken, and the tech marines will need weeks to repair the damage the Orks inflicted. But perhaps words are not needed. Perhaps his brothers understand without needing to be told. They stand with him as the transport races toward orbit, stand as honor guard for their recovered ancient, their presence a promise that he is not alone, that he will never be alone again. Days later, back aboard the chapter's fleet, the repairs begin in earnest. Tech marines work around the clock, removing Ork modifications, restoring Imperial systems, returning the Dreadnought to something resembling his proper configuration. It is painstaking work. The Orks were thorough in their modifications, and many systems are fused beyond clean removal. Some Ork components must remain, integrated so deeply that removing them would destroy critical functions. A tech marine explains this apologetically, his tone suggesting he wishes he could do better. The Dreadnought does not mind. The Ork modifications are scars in their way, reminders of what he endured and survived. They do not make him less. If anything, they prove his strength, his resilience, his determination to remain himself even when everything was taken from him. They repaint his armor, white and red, returning to cover the garish Ork colors. They restore his chapter heraldry, each symbol carefully recreated by hands that understand their meaning. They give him new weapons, proper Imperial armaments to replace the crude Ork shooter and modified power claw. When they are done, he looks like a White Scar's Dreadnought again, though one who bears the marks of hard use and harder trials. The chapter master comes to see him, making the journey from the flagship specifically to speak with their recovered ancient. He stands before the Dreadnought's sarcophagus and speaks of duty and honor, of the chapter's pride in his endurance, of how his story will be told to future generations as an example of unbreakable will. But then his tone changes, becomes softer, more personal. You have suffered, Ancient One, more than we can truly understand. If you wish rest, if you wish to sleep and not be woken, we will honor that choice. You have earned peace, if peace is what you seek. But if you still have fight in you, if you can still bear the weight of service, then your chapter needs you. We will not command. We will only ask. Will you continue to stand with us? It is a choice, a real choice, not a decision made for him by others. The Dreadnought considers carefully. He thinks of his months in Ork captivity, of the helplessness, of watching himself be used against his brothers. He thinks of how close he came to losing himself entirely, to becoming nothing more than a weapon in alien hands. The trauma of that experience will never fully heal. It has marked him as surely as any scar. But he also thinks of the soldier who recognized him, who spoke words of encouragement when recognition seemed impossible. He thinks of the brothers who never stopped trying to rescue him, who fought and died in the attempt. He thinks of the captain's welcome, of being called home, of the honor guard that stood with him during evacuation. He thinks of the Khan, of Chagoris, of the endless plains and the wind and the freedom that still lives in the hearts of his brothers, even if it is denied to him. He cannot speak his answer, but he can move. He takes a step forward, servos whining, ceramides scraping against the deck. Then another step. It is slow, deliberate, unmistakable. He is saying yes. He will continue. He will serve. He will remain a White Scar, for as long as strength remains in his systems, and will remains in his consciousness. The chapter master nods, understanding. Then welcome back to the war, Ancient One. May you find glory in battle and honor in service. May the wind of Chagoris be always at your back, even if you can no longer feel it. In the months that follow, the Dreadnought returns to combat. He fights alongside his brothers, his massive form striding into battle while they race past on bikes and land speeders. He cannot keep pace with them. He will never again know the speed they enjoy as easily as breathing. But he is there, a constant presence, a reminder of endurance and strength. His brothers fight harder when he is near, inspired by his example, determined to prove themselves worthy of his sacrifice. But he is different now. The experience of captivity has changed him in ways that go beyond the physical. He has stared into the abyss of helplessness and survived, but survival came with a cost. He is more cautious now, more aware of his vulnerability. He positions himself carefully in battle, always conscious of the risk of being cut off, of being captured again. The thought of returning to Orc hands, of losing himself once more to alien control, is more terrifying than any enemy weapon. He also relates differently to other dreadnoughts. Before his capture, he largely avoided contact with his fellow ancients, finding their existence too painful a reminder of his own condition. Now he seeks them out, speaking through Vox channels when both are active, sharing experiences and offering understanding. They have all suffered the loss of freedom that comes with entombment, but he has suffered something more, something that makes the normal dreadnought existence seem almost bearable by comparison. He knows what true helplessness is, and it gives him perspective. The white scars adapt to his presence in their own ways. They incorporate him into their tactics, using his firepower to cover their rapid maneuvers, trusting him to hold positions while they strike from unexpected angles. They talk to him even though he still cannot respond, his Vox repairs incomplete. They tell him stories of battles he missed during his captivity. They recite poetry in his presence, knowing he appreciates it even if he cannot comment. They treat him not as a weapon to be deployed, but as a brother to be honored. Years pass, marked by battles and campaigns that blur together in the way all wars eventually do. The dreadnought fights and sleeps and wakes to fight again, the cycle that defines all dreadnought existence. But he carries with him the memory of his captivity, the knowledge of how much worse things can be, and strange as it seems, this makes his current existence more bearable. Yes, he is imprisoned in metal. Yes, he has lost the freedom that once defined him. But he is among his brothers. He serves with honor. He has his identity, his purpose, his place in the chapter's story. And sometimes, in the brief moments between sleep and waking, he dreams. He dreams of Chagoris, of riding across the plains, of feeling the wind and the sun and the simple joy of movement. He dreams of his brothers beside him, laughing and racing and living with the freedom that makes life worth living. He dreams of a time before the entombment, before the wounds, before the long, slow death that is a dreadnaught's existence. These dreams hurt. They are reminders of everything he has lost, everything he can never have again. But they are also precious, because they prove that part of him still remembers, still feels, still remains human despite everything that has been done to him. The Orks tried to break him, tried to reduce him to a thing, a weapon without will or identity. They failed. He is still himself. His scars remain, visible and invisible, marking him as what he is and what he will always be. A white scar, a son of the Khan, a warrior of Chagoris. And he is free, in the only way that matters. Free in his mind, free in his spirit, free in his refusal to let captivity or torture or endless imprisonment destroy what makes him who he is. They can take his body. They can trap him in metal. They can force him to fight or hold him helpless or paint him in alien colors. But they cannot take his identity. They cannot steal his brotherhood. They cannot make him less than what he is. The wind still blows across the plains of Chagoris. His brothers still ride in glory and freedom, their bikes screaming across battlefields, their spirits soaring with the joy of movement and life. And he stands with them as much as he is able, providing the strength and firepower that his massive form allows. He cannot ride beside them. He will never again feel the wind in his hair or the thunder of an engine beneath him, but he stands. And in standing, in continuing, in refusing to break despite everything, he honors the memory of what he was and proves the strength of what he has become. The Orks took months from him. They took his freedom, his dignity, his sense of self. But they could not take everything. They could not take his spirit. And in the end, that is all that truly matters. The White Scars have a saying, passed down from the tribes of Chagoris through generations of warriors. The wind remembers those who ride it. The plains remember those who cross them. The sky remembers those who dare to look up and dream of flight. And the chapter remembers its heroes, even when those heroes can no longer remember themselves. The Dreadnought will stand for centuries more, perhaps millennia, if he is fortunate or unfortunate, depending on one's perspective. He will fight countless battles, kill innumerable enemies, serve the Emperor and chapter with unfailing dedication. And through it all, he will carry the memory of his captivity, the knowledge of how much worse it can be, the understanding that freedom is precious precisely because it can be lost. To those who see him on the battlefield, he is simply a dreadnought, a walking weapon platform, an ancient to be respected and honored. But to those who know his story, to his brothers in the white scars who stood witness to his ordeal and his recovery, he is something more. He is a reminder that the spirit cannot be broken unless we allow it to break. He is proof that identity and brotherhood can survive even the worst torture. He is a testament to the strength of the human will, even when that will is imprisoned in metal and denied everything that makes existence bearable. And somewhere in the deep places where his consciousness dwells, beneath the layers of trauma and duty and endless service, there is still a spark. Still a memory of riding free across endless plains. Still a dream of wind and speed and joy. It is small, that spark. It grows smaller with each passing year, worn down by time and war and the simple weight of existence. But it endures. And as long as it endures, he is still free in the way that matters most. The wind remembers, and so does he. If you found this journey into darkness enlightening, if you gained a new appreciation for the horror that lurks behind the noble facade of Dreadnought service, if you felt even a fraction of the agony that this warrior experienced, then take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There are more stories to tell, more corners of this grim darkness to illuminate, more truths to share about the universe we love. Until next time, remember that in the far future, there is only war. But there are also warriors who refuse to break, who endure the unendurable, who prove that the spirit can survive even when everything else is taken away. Honor them, remember them, and never forget that freedom, once lost, is nearly impossible to reclaim.